the original Robocop is a science fiction kinda horror movie. And I stress kinda, and I'll get into why I think this has horror aspects in the review. The movie starts with a police station in Old Detroit. Basically, Old Detroit is just crime ridden and police officers are dying left and right. And it's kind of set in the near future. Well, a couple police officers just die and they get a new officer transfer, and he teams up with this woman. And on his first day, he gets brutally murdered. Well, this tech company is trying to create these giant robots that basically police the city, and shit doesn't go right during the demonstration process. And another guy steps up and he's like, hey, we should do the Robocop project. And they're like, what's that? Well, we find out when the police officer dies and he comes back as basically a pure robot android, and he's called Robocop. And basically he is the future of cops, but he still retains some of his memories even though they're supposed to be wiped. And he remembers the people who brutally murdered him. So he kind of gets his own little agenda, and he goes after the people who brutally murdered him. And there's some shenanigans that happen, and honestly, that is the movie. Like, also, apologies for the bag noises, but my cats just refuse not to play with this paper bag by me. And, yep, it's the cats. So, my review of Robocop. For being a movie made in 87, this movie actually holds up to time really well. Like, this movie's actually insanely good. I would say, honestly, the only thing bad about this movie is when they introduced the robot, giant robot, not Robocop, but like the other robot thing. It's like claymation. They don't use CGI. It's like some kind of weird claymation or something. It just looked off. It wasn't good. But besides that, like, the practical effects in this movie are like super top tier. The story's like super good. It introduces a character that people still speak about, Robocop. It's so many good things about this movie. The blood, the gore, and these are the things why I think if you like horror movies, you'll really like this. Now, obviously, this movie is definitely more of a sci-fi movie, but between the blood, the gore, the practical effects, and the one toxic waste part in the end, and just kind of what Robocop looks like without his helmet, it all kind of has like a horror vibe. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a horror movie, but man, it definitely, if you like horror movies, this is one of those rare instances where I'm going to do a review on a movie that I personally don't think is a horror movie, but is right up the alley of anybody who loves horror movies. So, my ratings for Robocop. Watch value, a 7.5. This movie was insanely good to watch. Practical effects, about a 7. Costume design, 7.5, maybe 8, because it literally creates Robocop, which is a legacy character. Gore, like a 6.5, maybe 7. Scary, these movies ain't scary, so 1. Acting, like a 6. Writing, 8. Who wrote a story that created the legacy character. Anything like that, that's top tier. This character was standard like almost 40 years of time. Directing, like probably like a 7. I'd say this movie's like a 7. Production, probably like a 7. Opening, it's probably like honestly like a 3, probably the weakest part, like the beginning. It's like some kind of commercials. The ending, I'd say like a 7. It's pretty intense, especially the toxic waste part, and then just kind of everything getting wrapped up. I'm pretty sure like the ending is him killing the big bad guy. Funny, it's not funny. And collector's value, I mean, it's the 20th anniversary collector's edition. That should tell you everything you need to know.